What's good? Alright, so, let me take all this off. Welcome to a little video I've decided to record here. Now, in the past couple of months, I've decided to teach myself some Python, which I've been having a great time with, using the Tkinter library to make my own applications. It feels great. I can really see the use for it. And I should mention that I'm going to be throwing around a couple coding terminology here and there, but if you don't know what Python is or any other libraries or any coding, don't worry, you're still going to understand the program and you're still going to understand what the program is for and the end result. So I've decided to hook up my camera today just to make a little video on this program, and you might be looking at my screen wondering, like, what is, whoops, that's not supposed to happen. Alright, so as I was saying, before that unfortunate bug I found, you might be looking at this wondering, like what these grid squares are, what are all these, like 1 through 6, kind of looks like they're tools or something. There's a section down here, there's even a second window here that says constant generation, and I'll explain all of this. I'm not going to explain this part, because I don't understand this part. I don't know why it's broken right now, but, maybe that'll be an update video. So I'll explain all of this, but before I do that, I need to explain what this program is for. This program helps me develop my game. It's a game I've been developing for the last couple years, and probably the most important thing to understand is that my game is a procedural generated dungeon crawler. And what this means is that the labyrinth or dungeon is mostly random, but it does have certain shapes or chunks that I have hard-coded as a pattern to make it more navigable. I don't think that really sounds like a word. But it gives a labyrinth more shape, which is very important because without that, the player can get lost very quickly and everything will just start to look exactly the same. The whole dungeon generates on a giant grid, and each of the pieces take up a grid space. And each of these grid spaces take up a line of code for me to generate. So, as you might assume, this can get extremely tedious. It can get very messy code here really quick if I'm making a giant pattern. And that's kind of what this program is supposed to help with. I can just do everything with a user-friendly UI. I don't need to worry about messing up the code at all because this generates the code for me. And that's really the most important thing, so I think we should just kind of jump in here and I can show you how this all works. Now, unfortunately, I've waited a very long time to make this program, a couple years after the start of the game, start of the game's development, and hopefully developers who are watching this video will realize that maybe if they're early enough in their project, they can make their own program and just save themselves a lot of time and effort. So yeah, anyhow, let's go on with this. I want to make a small pattern here, a very simplistic pattern here. So what I can do, I can just hover over each of these, and as I click on these, you'll see the left window here, this pattern preview window. That'll start updating. So what I'll do is we'll make a pattern that's kind of like what's a good shape that everyone will recognize? Let's make like a cross stitch kind of. I think that's a term. Yeah, so let's say that we have a pattern that looks like this, and kind of looks like a cross bridge. There's a pattern I have, something like this called a cross bridge, where it's just, it's vertical and horizontal. It doesn't have these extra pieces. But if we generate this, so let's go down here, hit L and B to display the code, or the left mouse button on this button, and then it'll say origin is required before code is written. You can determine origin with the middle mouse button. So origin is where the pattern originates from. And after we choose our origin, say right here is a good origin, we can hit L and B. It then writes a lot of code for us. And this code, you can see it's like -106, 2 quotation marks, 006, 2 quotation marks, 106. And each of these hold all the values that we need for a piece. So let's take the first 3 up here, like -1, 06, 006, and 106 for an example here. these are XYZ coordinates and then a detailed string, which that detailed string holds all the data for the piece. It'll be like, oh, do you want a wall, like a wall north, a wall south, or an opening to the right, opening to the left? Maybe you want a wall to the right. Maybe you don't want a ceiling, no land. Maybe you want a treasure there. There's a lot of options here. So these are all determined relative to the origin. So that means that this red piece is the origin. And if we go up 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we can go to the left 1, which is -1, 0, 6. 0 is the y value. This program can't handle elevation yet. I haven't gone that far in the program. So all the y coordinates are going to be 0. So this is -1, 0, 6, and this is 0, 0, 6, and this is, 1, 0, 6. And we haven't added any walls or anything to it, so let's fix that real quick, alright? So we can click on a wall or an opening, enemies, traps, special, and we'll start off with the wall because those are the most simplistic. So how this works is that we have a little info box over here. So you hover over the grid, it's a north wall, west wall, south wall, east wall for W, A, S, and D respectively. So what that means is that I can hover over each of these pieces, and I have the wall tool selected, so I can hit A, and that'll bring up a wall over here. It brought up a wall on the left side. And then I can hit D there, DA, DA, AD, WS, WS, W, DA. So I can pretty much just go around here. I can make my own little area, or not my own area, I can make my own walls here. So let's just make more of these, and alright, so this is pretty good. And this is the origin, which means that this is where the piece is going to spawn, so we don't really want a wall right where it's spawning unless we want to keep this pattern kind of hidden from the player's eyes, from the player's view normally. So knowing this, we can hit display code and we get the same coordinates because we haven't added any pieces. And instead we have like WPZ underscore, WNZ underscore, WNX underscore. We have all these. So these are all telling the code to put a wall, positive X, positive Z, or negative Z, or north, south, east, west, And then the code is just going to rotate that depending on the orientation of where it's generating anyways. So all of this is kind of like absolute, if that makes sense. Right, so knowing that, I can come on down here, I can hit right mouse button, and all the code has been copied to your clipboard. So that's awesome. So now if we go down to like a text editor or sticky notes in my case here, I can hit Control V and it pastes all of the code that it generated for us. And how this code works is that PVList is a list that's determined at the beginning of a function, and then it takes in, it's a list of pattern values, which is a struct that contains, the X, Y, and Z coordinates, and then it contains a detailed string variable. And then that's fed all through another function to spawn all the pieces. It's a lot of different code. I'm not going to go too in depth with it, but it's a list of structs. If you understand anything about C# coding, and if you don't, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to. That's what the program's for. So anyways, we generate all of this, and I'm just going to copy that again because I have OCD. And I'm going to go load up the project. I'm going to go paste it into the project. I'll show you a little bit about what it looks like, and I'll see you after the cut. Alright, I'm back. I got a drink. This video was brought to you by, it was sponsored by, Taco Bell. So, currently drinking not Taco Bell drinks, though. So, it's alright, though. So, got a drink, everything's good. Project loaded up, and this is the code behind it. So this is where the special chunks, this is where the special patterns, the chunks, this is like their internal name. This name isn't displayed to the player anywhere, but let's give the name, let's go to the end of this. This is like the recent patterns that I've added. There's like a shrine where it kind of where it's like stairs midair. There's a treasure at the top of it. There's like an open square where you know, it's like a 3x3. There's no ceilings or walls. There's a hallway where it's just a straight shot. An arena, which is a pretty complex one. There's a hopscotch one where there's like, you know, land, a gap, land, gap, land, gap. It looks like you're playing hopscotch. That was where I got the name from. So anyhow, we have all that code copied to our clipboard. So let's give a name to this pattern. We'll call it, you know, cross stitch. Let's put that in a string. We'll call it cross stitch. Cross stitch. Is there 2 or 3? We're gonna call it hashtag. All right. So anyhow, no, I'm calling it cross stitch. A hyphen. That's what I need. Cross stitch. There we go. I'm a genius. I'm a highly intelligent. Taco Bell is doing something to my brain cell, I swear. Alright, so anyhow, so we got the cross stitch, if I can even talk. So we got the cross stitch. We've added it to a list that the game looks at for the special patterns. Special chunks, you know, either way. So let's go here. This is like the hopscotch code, you know. This one wasn't generated by the program. I kind of did this just using a for loop. It's a lot easier sometimes. And we'll go down here. This is going to be the 21st pattern. So we'll make a case. There's a you know, a switch statement here. So we'll do case 21. It rolls a random generated number, you know, and then depending on that number, that's what all the code runs. So if it runs like the generated number and it comes across 20, it'll spawn in hopscotch as the predetermined pattern. Or, you know, if it spawns in, if it generates 19, it'll spawn in the arena. And I leave comments here just to make it a lot easier for myself to go through all of these. But let's go here. We can call this one cross stitch with a hyphen. And then what we can do is just Control V. And that pastes in everything that we need. No errors. There's an error here. I need to fix that in the program, I guess. My bad. Basically, the idea is that this line of code, all these lines of code here, they add a pattern values to a list, and then we cycle through all of that list, and we spawn a special piece using that detailed string data, or, you know, these strings, which, for this example, it's only walls, but we can always add some more to it. Then it uses, like, the coordinates, which is, you know, all these, they get passed in, used as a vector 3, all that. It's a lot of code that I don't really feel like explaining, but I'm sure that you could figure it out if you really wanted to. But also, you don't really need to with the program, so that's awesome. Alright, so I just put in all that code into the program, or from the program into the script. And what we can do is we can find a map generator, which is right here. This is the object that actually handles all of the, like all the actual generation for the labyrinth. So down here, we can click Update the Special ID Array, and let's see, where is it? Did it not work? It didn't work. Where is it? Alright, I think I got it working. I had to increment a number by 1 from 21 up to 22. Bad code on my part. Honestly, cannot wait for my next project where I'm actually gonna, you know, plan stuff. So there we go. We just hit Update the Special ID Array, and we can then hit cross stitch. And if this box is enabled, that means that the labyrinth within this scene, within the real world scene, that can generate here. So for testing purposes, let's just get rid of all the other ones going on. I like all of these, but let's just get rid of those. And then what we'll do is we'll actually keep in like arena just to show you what that one looked like in locked cells, something different. So then what we can do is we can hit play. So let's see if it generates it, because it is also all random. so I can't guarantee that we'll see it this time, but you know, it's a pretty solid chance that we will. So let's see, that's the locked grid up there. Locked grid is like a 3x3, but it has walls on all sides. Let me go into the God mode, and we'll give ourselves a bunch of boots. That's what I meant. So this is the arena that I was talking about. You kind of go up to another floor, and then that's that one. But that was the one I couldn't really explain in the code. So let's keep trying to find, that's a locked cells. I don't think it actually generated this time. Oh, no, it's right here, Yeah, no, we're good actually. Alright, so as we see here, this is the pattern that we actually put into the program. This pattern right here, the origin would be like right, let me see, right here. This would be the origin for it. And then we go up twice, 1, 2. This is the middle part, you know, this part right here. We go up more, there's some over there, there's these little branches off here, there's longer branches on the left side. So this is how I made the most recent patterns when I actually made this program. It's really cool to see it work. It's really fantastic for me personally. And it does kind of give me hope that there can be that there can be like a future for modding for this game. But honestly, there's so much more back-end code stuff that I don't really know how to work with, so I can't really even say if modding is going to be a thing or not. But if it does, then I can see how to make programs to make it easier for players to do their own mods, you know? It would be great. It's kind of like a beacon of light if you want to be poetic about it, which I don't really feel like being poetic about it, but it does give me hope. Anyhow, there's that. So let's actually do this again. We'll actually just replace the other pattern. We can stop playing that. And what we can do, let's do this, and we will generate more stuff here. Oh yeah, this is also a, you know, Terraria bunny. It was the first .ico file I know of on my computer. You know, I'm sure we all have our Terraria bunny.ico file for an icon file. You know how it is. So I fixed the little missing walls that we saw. And what if we want there to be an opening? Opening, so we can hit 3, we can hit 2, 3 to go to opening, 4 to go to enemies, 5 for traps, and 6 for special. Opening will mean that the pattern will open up for the labyrinth to keep generating. And something to keep in mind is that if the generation is large, then sometimes it's not really going to result in anything, because the game works in this way. If it's trying to generate a random piece when it's too far away from the center, it's just going to turn into a dead end. So sometimes it doesn't work out as expected, and sometimes it'll just turn into a dead end. But if it spawns close enough to the center where the opening is still close enough to the center, it'll actually keep generating more of the labyrinth, and it's really cool when that happens. So let's use the wall tool, and we'll get rid of like this wall, or we'll get rid of yeah, let's get rid of these 2 top walls. We'll put in an opening here, and these are the green little rectangles you see. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll open downwards, which we don't normally do. I don't think I do that with any other pattern or chunk. So let's do this again. We'll open on that side and this side. And you know what? For testing purposes, for example reasons, we'll go to the enemies here, and we'll put in like 3 elite enemies right at the end. This will be hell to come across if you're playing the actual game, but you know what? It's alright. And actually we'll make it even worse for anyone who's unfortunate enough to come through here. And we'll do, you know, spike trap, spike trap, spike trap, spike trap, spike trap. Pitfall, 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 pitfall. And I will say this, I am going to work on trying to add visuals for these. Right now, I know that these are here because, you know, I'm actually typing in WASD form. But you can also look at the, you know, this side over here. When I hover over a piece, you can see that it has like WNZ for wall -Z, wall south, or a wall +Z, north. or 4 spikes forces a spike trap. So we can do some random traps over here. Let's force random traps on the side here, and we'll go on down to special here. And what we'll do here is we won't have ceilings throughout all of this middle part. We won't have ceilings through the vertical parts, towards like the center vertical parts, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just doing stuff, and that's what's nice about this program. I can just do stuff like instantaneously, really. And let's make no land on these. There is a visual for the no ceilings, like it kind of brightens up. I don't know if you noticed that, but if you look at the little bridge here on the left window, you'll see that they kind of become brighter compared to their parts that actually have ceilings. And then the parts that don't have any land, they become really dark. So let's just do this again. We'll copy all that, right mouse button, we'll head over to the program, and we don't need to increase this number anymore. We don't need to add a new pattern because we're just editing the old one. We're just editing the old cross stitch. So let's go down here, highlight all of this, Control V. We need to fix this issue that I forgot to fix in the Python program, but that's all fine. And then we can save all that. Let's head back over to the program. I'll see you when it generates. Alright, so it just finished compiling, and we are running the program to see if it worked. And let's do the special God mode and GI boots. We'll give ourselves 40 this time because we want to be very, very quick. You know how it is. So that's a locked grid. That's not what we want. This is an arena. Something cut into the pattern here. I will say that the generation isn't perfect, but I do think it's pretty good most of the time. I've never seen the arena get cut off there. That's unfortunate that I found it. This is the pattern, though, right here. And we can see that there's a lot. There's a lot going on here. So this is the start of it, So we go forward. Here's a spike trap. Here's a spike trap on the wall. Here's another spike trap on the wall. Here is an enemy here, here's another enemy, and here's another enemy. These are all elite enemies, they're all very tough to take on. And you can see that the labyrinth did try to advance. It tried to make another piece of the labyrinth. We didn't actually put this one here, but we just told it to open, so it's going to generate something in that direction. So we go down here, it's a weapon chamber. We can get a weapon. And this one is a mimic with the sideways keyhole. So anyhow, those were the elite enemies. We can see that these have ceilings here. We can see that this one doesn't have land. We can see that all of these are pitfalls, which is just cruel generation. More pitfalls here, no land. Here's a spike trap. Oh, this might have done something. This might have caused an issue. Maybe. There is another functionality I didn't talk about, which is temporary pieces. Those generate alongside patterns, and then they're deleted once the player can move, once the labyrinth is actually done generating. And I use those to make sure that nothing generates too close to other patterns. So like for the arena pattern, I don't want there to be anything generating right here next to it, Same goes for right here. I don't want anything to be generating there. And like the arena pattern, like this one right here, this actually has temp pieces all along the bottom side of this, because I don't want there to be any piece of labyrinth that can get under it, because there's probably some issues that will amount from it, from enemies like lifting up pieces of land or something. But anyhow, that's the program. And I think that's really all I wanted to talk about here. I think it's pretty cool. And let's actually try to take these guys on.